King William I declared all land to be his when he first attained the crown. This gave him instant wealth and power across the nation. It also enabled him to reward his most loyal and trusted men with land. In fact, by 1075, all major landowners in England were members of the Norman aristocracy. The last English Earl, Earl Waltheof, was stripped of his post in 1075 and executed the following year. This was following his participation in the failed revolt of the Earls.
William's changes to landholding resulted in a significant transformation in the makeup of English aristocracy. Norman tenant-in-chiefs replaced the former landowning Anglo-Saxon earls and thanes. The aristocracy no longer owned their land. Instead, they were gifted it by the king in return for homage. Homage was the promise of loyalty to the king, as well as to collect taxes and to raise an army if required.
The elite of the aristocracy were known as barons. There were very few barons, allowing them to be incredibly influential. The land they held was smaller than the old Anglo-Saxon earldoms, and often located in areas that were threatened by invaders, such as the Welsh-English borders.
A few of King William I's most trusted barons were appointed as regents. A regent governed England on William's behalf when he was away from the nation, such as when he was visiting Normandy. William Fitzosborne, the Earl of Hereford, and his half-brother Odo, the Earl of Kent, were both acting as regents in 1067. They had both served as close companions and trusted advisers to the king.
Norman aristocracy brought their own customs and culture to England. They spoke in French, their native language. This became the main language in the judicial system, as the Normans governed any court trial. Very little effort was made to learn English. For this reason, many French words have entered the English language. For example, the words beef, pork, noble, and purchase all stem from the French words spoken by Norman nobility.
Norman aristocracy was made up of wealthy men who felt it was important to show off their superiority and power. Grand homes were built from stone rather than wood. Manor houses had a number of rooms and a grand hall to be used for entertaining. During banquets, food and music were provided to guests. Jesters were employed to entertain with jokes.
Guests at a banquet were served in order of their social standing and wealth. Expensive clothing and jewellery were worn. The clothing was made from expensive materials like silks and furs.
Norman aristocracy also had an influence upon traditional English pastimes. Hunting was a favoured sport, and being skilled on horseback was vital. Young aristocratic boys were taught to ride and given the skills to become a good knight.
The culture was very different from the existing Anglo-Saxon traditions. The Normans made no effort to quickly adapt to Anglo-Saxon customs. In fact, the historian C. Hollister of the University of California concluded that the Norman conquest brought a new, foreign aristocracy into England, which dominated the land and became assimilated only gradually.